Hi everyone, this is Kim from Affordably Crafty, and today I'm going to be using the same food dye stuffs that I used in my Robin's Egg Blue colorway last week, I think, that I posted, which was Dye Discovery 5. I will link that down below in the description box. But what I'm going to try and do today is create a gradient. So I'm going to do one of the yarns with one packet, the next one's going to have 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what I've done is I have made 5 skeins of 50 grams of yarn, and each of them will go into a different dye pot. Well, the same dye pot, but one will have 1 packet, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to see if by 5, if there's any dye left in the pot. If there isn't, I can create more skeins and do more gradients. So I'm looking to see how many packets it takes to have dye left in the pot and not exhaust it. So I would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe to this video if you want to see more content like this. And this yarn actually started out gray. Let me grab the dry yarn and I'll show you what it looks like. Be right back. So this is the color of that yarn originally before it was wet. As you can see, it's a gray color. This is 100% wool yarn. It's about a 4 weight, and I snagged this at Peter Patchy's Yarns, which I'll be doing a haul video on later this week. But look at the size of this. I mean, it's huge. So for comparison, this is a single serve packet. Look at how big that is. And I already took 250 grams of yarn off this thing. So it is huge and heavy. But yeah, I found a new gem. So I'm going to be doing a haul, like I said, from Peter Patchy's Yarns later this week. I already went the other day, but I just have to put it together on film. So I'm excited to see how this yarn will work out. And right now I am soaking my 50 gram skeins that I made. I put 4 ties on each of them because last time I did this I had a little problem with tangling and I want to try and avoid it this time. But these ties are acrylic, so they won't dye in the pot. So I'm just going to soak these for 30 minutes. I have a timer going right here. So I have 9 minutes left. And I have a pot of water simmering on the stove, so that'll be ready when I am. So I will see you back here in about 9 minutes. See you then. Hi friends. So I only have a minute left on my timer. You can see that. And my water is simmering away, so I'm going to add 1 packet of sugar-free Hawaiian Punch Berry Blue Typhoon singles to this pot. I'm going to get a spoon and stir that up. But it is a lovely blue color. Oh, my phone is getting all foggy. So we can see that's very light turquoise blue. Now we're going to go get the yarn. There's my timer. Right on time. So I'm going to take out my first 50 gram skein. Give it a little squeeze to get some of the water out. But not squeezing too hard where I'm going to felt the wool. I'm going to find an end. There's one. This is very long. I have to wind it around my hand. So what I'm doing is, sorry for my kid's mess. What I'm doing is I just wound it around my hand so it's not so long. So now I'm going to start to dip. may have made this skein a little too long. Let them learn. But I do like the blue that's coming out on the bottom. Alright, I'm going to put that in there. Get a thing so we can see what color it actually is in there. So as you can see, it's already lightened up quite a lot. So I'm going to leave that in there for a couple of minutes. Turn the heat up just a smidge. I want it to simmer but not boil, obviously. So I'm going to leave this in here for probably 5 minutes and come back and check it. I'll see you in a minute. Hi friends. So that dye bath cleared, and now I have 2 packets of the Hawaiian Punch Berry Blue Typhoon in this pot. It's a much darker color, as you can see. This is what the wet yarn looks like from the first dye with the 1 packet. So now I'm going to take another one of these skeins out and try and bring some of the water out. Not too hard because I don't want to felt the yarn. So just squeezing very gently to get some of the water out. And I'm going to unfold the skein. I'm going to do the wrap around my hand like I did last time. And we're going to start dipping. Here we go. Stop it. That is a darker blue than last time. That's good. Much darker blue. Beautiful. Almost near the end of the skein. As you see, the dye bath is getting lighter. Now I'm going to put that in. I'm going to let that simmer for 5 minutes and then I will be back. See you in a few minutes. So 5 minutes have gone by. I'm going to check and see how we're doing. I'm just going to find one of the ties. So since I used acrylic, it's really easy to find where the tie is because the acrylic will not dye. Oh, this is getting a little mixed up. It's darker than the other one, so I'm going to give this another 5 minutes. The dye bath isn't clear yet. See you in a few minutes. So the second dye bath cleared with 2 packages of Berry Blue Typhoon Mix. This is 3 packages, a much deeper blue. And this was the first one we did. And this is how the second one came out. There's a little bit of a gradient in this one. Kind of like that. But this is beautiful. See if the colors stay the same once I wash it out. They're still wet. So now I'm going to get my next skein that I already squeezed out most of the water. Oh, and I also made a yarn mop in case we have extra. So I did do that. So I am going to just find one of the white ties. And I am going to wrap it around my hand because it's too long. And I am going to start dipping. Here we go. There we go. And as you can see, because I've wrapped it around my hand, I have better control of what it's doing. I'm going to let some of the stuff go from my hand. So you see I have less in my hand now. I still can bring it all the way out of the water, but honestly, that's because I'm 5'9". I don't know if a much shorter person would be able to. I did, like I said, make these skeins rather long. I was trying to get a gradient on it. We'll see how that goes. This is very calming though, dyeing yarn. Alright, now I'm going to let some more of it go out of my hand. Oops, not the whole thing. Now I can just barely pull it out. As you can see, the color is changing in the dye bath. It's getting much more turquoise in hue. Now I'm just going to abandon taking it all out because it's too long. But that's okay. I want the bottom of it to be darker anyways. As you can see, that's still getting lighter in there. And the only thing that's in this pot is that Hawaiian Punch Blue Typhoon Lagoon. Berry Blue Typhoon. Because it has citric acid in it already. So it's still continuing to lighten up. In a minute here, I'm just going to let go of the yarn and give up the dip dyeing. A couple more times. Be careful that you don't put your hand in the hot water. Okay, now I'm going to let this go. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes and then see how we're doing. Alright, see you back here soon. So as you can see, this is not quite clear yet, so I'm going to let it sit for another couple minutes and see how we do when we come back. See you in a minute. So there's still a little bit of color in there, and I've let it sat for 15 minutes. So I'm going to use my yarn mop to get the color out of there. So that this water will clear. Oops, sorry about my finger. So I'm going to let that sit in there for a few minutes and absorb that color. Be back in a minute. This is what we look like with 1 packet of Kool-Aid. I'm sorry, not Kool-Aid. Hawaiian Punch. 2 packets, we get a little bit of a gradient. 3 packets, we got more of a gradient in a nice darker blue color. Now I have my yarn mop in there that's almost done doing its work, and I'm going to get the other skein. So this is what our yarn mop looks like. It's a very, very light blue right now. And I have 4 packets of dye in here. And I'm going to start dip dyeing in 1 second once I wrap this around, like I did before. So I have wrapped it around my hand, and now I'm going to start dip dyeing. This is 4 packets. So I know the more packets I put in, also the more citric acid gets in here, which means the dye is going to hit faster. So I'm hoping that means that we'll have a darker color on the bottom as we go along. We'll see. Unwrap some of the yarn from my hand. I'm still able to easily pull it out of the dye pot at this point. This many dyes in a row is definitely a workout for my arm. Oof. I'm going to unravel some more from my hand. Don't want to get them tangled. There we go. Well, the bottom's not going to come out, but that's okay. I want the bottom to be darker anyways, right? Alright, I'm going to put the rest in. I'm going to let this sit for 5 minutes and I'll be back. So I had the 4 packets in for 15 minutes. This is what the water looks like right now. There is, oops, sorry, off camera. There is a little bit of dye left. So I'm going to put my dye mop in. It's a beautiful pale blue color right now. So in the mop goes. Oops. To get rid of the rest of that color. I'll be back in 5 minutes. So my dye mop did its job. It is a bit more blue. This is my last dye pot. This is 5 packets of the berry blue Hawaiian Punch. A reminder, here's how the gradient's going so far. That's 1 packet, 2 packets, 3 packets, 4 packets. So we definitely have a deeper blue here than here. So now I'm going to get my yarn and then I will start dip dyeing. See you in a second. Now, before I start dyeing that, I also got some felted wool which I've never dyed or seen dyed before. So I am going to take a little bit of dye out of this pot and put it in this glass container and put it on the stove. Oh, that is a pretty blue color. Holy nutter, that's pretty. I'm going to put it on the tray here, and I've been soaking a little piece of it. I just want to see how fast it's going to pick up the dyes. This is a little piece of that felted, and I'm going to put it in there. Let's see how we do. I'm going to make sure it'll dye before I do a whole dye bath with it. So let's see if it's picking up the color. It is. So I'm going to check that in a little bit. I guess it was just a piece of the felted wool that I got. I guess the one positive of that is there's no danger of felting it if you move it around too much. So that's pretty cool. Alright, I am wrapping the skein around my hand like I've been doing. So here we are, ready to dip dye this one. So here we go. Getting a nice dark color on the end like I expected. And again, this is 5 packets. This is my last gradient piece. I hope the colors stay as vibrant after I wash it out. So I love it. Alright, I am going to put this in and let that sit for 5 minutes. Let's see how our little piece of felted wool is doing. So it does appear to be taking up the color. I'm going to leave it in there for a few more minutes. So that's exciting. I am really looking forward to working with this after it's dyed. It's a bulky. I'd say it's a 5. But yeah, it's felted. So, alright, I'll be back in about 5 minutes after I let this soak. See you in a few minutes. So I have had the other one in there for 10 minutes. This is how much dye we have left. It's kind of cloudy because of all the citric acid that's in there by now. Here's how the gradient is. 1 packet, 2 packets, 3 packets, 4 packets, and 5 packets. So now I'm going to put the yarn mop in, but what I've decided to do is I'm only going to put part of it in. So I've put a couple of zip ties around my handle, and I am going to zip tie this together, and then I'm going to put it in. I'll be right back. Okay, so what I've done is I've used a zip tie on the pot handle and then a zip tie to connect it, so only part of it is in there. So it should create a nice two-toned effect. Oops, there goes the fog on my phone. I'm going to have that mop up everything in there. We'll see how that goes. I'll be back in about 10 minutes to see how we finish up. Okay, see you. So I have washed out all of the other 4 skeins. This is the last one, the one that had the 5 packets, and you'll see the water is very cloudy. That's because of all the citric acid. So this one had a lot of citric acid in it. I'm gonna have to empty and clear off this washing bath quite a few times, but there has been zero color that's come out of all these yarns. I am very happy about it. So I will finish washing this, then it'll get a nice spin in the salad spinner. And then when I come back, I'll have them all in the tray so we can compare. Still wet though. Okay, see you in a few minutes. So I have the mop in there, I only hung half of it. This is what it looks like. I'm very happy with that gradient color. And this is what our felted wool looked like. It looks pretty. So I washed it and spun it in the salad spinner. So I'm going to cut this in half to see how far this penetrated. Because on the end it looked like it did. But I'm not 100% sure. So I'll be back in 1 second. So good news. It looks like we had pretty good penetration inside. So that makes me super happy. Because I can't wait to dye this stuff and knit up a nice scarf for the winter. So excited. So that's great news. Now I'm going to cut off the reason the water's cloudy is that's just the citric acid. So I'm going to cut this zip tie. I'm going to attempt to cut that zip tie. There we go. So yeah, I like how that looks. I'm just going to have that cool off and then wash it off. But I'm excited about that. It is a tangled mess though. Alright, see you in a few minutes. So here we are outside. I'm going to hang them up in the shade in a second, but this is what they look like in the sun. So again, this is the lightest. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'll be back when they're dry to see what they look like. So this is what our yarn mop looks like. I like the really nice gradient from the light blue down to this turquoise. So I mopped up 2 or 3, I can't remember, skeins with this end, and then for the last one we had the most dye left, so I just hung this over the pot and only put this much in. So I really like how it came out. We'll have to see how it dries. But I'll be back probably tomorrow to show you the dried skeins, but I am in love with this gradient. See you soon. Hi friends. So a couple of days have gone past and our skeins of yarn are dry from the blue gradient that I was making. And I'm really happy with how they came out. So our first one, which we used 1 drink packet on, looks like this. So it is a really nice, like light robin's egg color. So that's 1 packet. And then this is 2 packets. I really like how this came out too. I really kind of like all of them. But I like how this and this kind of match the lighter color. And all these were dip dyed. So that's the first 2. Then I have 3 packets. And all these were 50-gram skeins of 100% wool. So here you can see the color gradient, how it's developing. Very happy with how these are coming out. And then here is 4 packets. As you can see, it's getting nice and darker. A beautiful colorway. And then here is 5 packets. So that's what the 5 packets look like. The 4, the 3, the 2, the 1. Now when we get down to these 2, 4 and 5, I had to use a mop. So I kind of really like how the mop turned out too. So this is my yarn mop. And what I did for this is this color here, this color here, the lighter one, that was from, I think, this dye bath where I just put the whole thing in. And then for this one, I hung a little bit more than half the mop inside the pan and didn't dip the other side until the dye bath cleared. So that's how I got this two-tone effect. But I am super happy with how these came out. Yeah, so dye discovery success. Like and subscribe and share and let me know what you think of this blue gradient of yarn. Have a great day. Bye.